right, this is the Committee on Legislative Affairs. This is Thursday, March 20th, 2014. We're at 6 p.m. I have Councilor Simonelli.
Yeah.
I have Councilor Hanlon. I have Councilor Napolitano.
Here.
And I have Councilor Sonny. We have 4 members present.
We have a quorum. Please stand and salute the flag. I have one, before we start, I'd just like to get a notice here that Councilor Joe McGonigal will be unable to attend because of a prior commitment. Clerk, read number 1. please.
All right. The first piece of business, this is a resolution of by Council Rosa DeFlorio. Rules be established on the appropriate distribution of city council expenses.
Please invite Chief of Staff and City Solicitor, please. And sponsor. Yeah. Thank you for coming. Could you state your name and title, please, for the records?
Richard Biscay, City Eye. Jake Rodriguez, Assistant City Solicitor.
Let's see. Okay, it's by Councilor Rosa DeFlorio. It's your piece.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Huh? I know she's not a member, but I will go to the city solicitor.
Sure. A couple of committee meetings ago, committee task force, Mr. myself, we were asking the new language pertaining to the reimbursement of the expenses incurred by city council members versus the charter which is allowed. One of the initial plans that we had that we were talking about was to do a lump sum payment every quarter. We followed up by 1099 for tax purposes. However, based on further analysis, charter analysis of the law, that particular course of action is not going to be possible pursuant to the charter, which states in the first part that subject to appropriation, council members shall be entitled to the reimbursement of their actual and necessary expenses incurred in the performance of the duty. Section CS4, subsection A of the zoning charter, which is in full effect this past January. The plain reading of the language included in the charter indicates that this is reactive language, not proactive language that would be used by the lump sum payment before the expenses occur. So, in order for the current charter consistent with the charter's intention and plain language, this would have to be a reactive rule. In doing so, we drafted the language, and this was done in consultation with the city clerk, Mr. Biscay, the mayor, city staff, and city solicitor, that outlines what we feel is the true intention of the city charter, and also balances off the priorities that were expressed during those proceedings. So we took delivery of drafting the new language. This rule is pretty strong. There's a lot of stuff. I know that I remember when we got to the I can give an overview of yourself, advice, or
That's your pleasure. Okay. Councilor Hanlon.
out of state, we don't prepay at all.
Councilor Napolitano, please.
All right, just along those lines, so let's say there's a conference that we want to attend that is, let's say, Maine. Okay, so we come and see you to issue a purchase order? How would be the process?
See your clerk, I'm not, again, assuming that maybe Caroline or maybe someone in the city clerk's office, they'd have a requisition on the purchase
Okay.
order, process, which again would have to be worked out with regard to who's administering this stuff to you. Most of the departments have clerks that handle that, so how it would work on your end would be someone would do up a purchase order and approval of that purchase order, and you send it off to the particular conference committee or whatever you're trying to do.
Okay.
Under the
And-
rule, stating that if you are going to be reimbursed for those expenses, they would have to be pre-approved by the president.
Mhm.
So you can't just go on, I'm going to a conference in Aruba this weekend, and that would have to be pre-approved, as it's not, then you would be entitled to reimbursement under the language of the rule.
Right. All right, so the council president would be pretty much the would be filling the role of our department head, more or less.
Essentially, that's correct.
Okay. Now, is that any expenses, any other expenses that we expense that fall into this in the criteria here? We submit that through the council president?
Any expenses, like the way that I structured the rule was generally that all subject to approval, to appropriation approved by the president, each member is entitled to reimbursement of their actual and necessary expenses. Those actual and necessary expenses are then outlined, excluded expenses. If you look at A2, the rules of members of the city council shall not be entitled to excluded expenses as defined by the rule.
Where is that?
That's
Okay.
the A2 is the excluded,
Okay.
and then B2 is the excluded expenses.
Okay.
And then if you look under section C of the rule, it outlines the procedure for it. So then, once appropriated, so the first step of this is always going to be appropriation. If no money is appropriated, there's no money to be reimbursed from. So that's always going to be the first step for the city council to appropriate themselves an expense account. That amount is then divided by the equally among the number of members. So in this case, 11. So that no member is entitled to any more than any other member. Just to make it equitable. And any unused funds that are in the account will be returned to the city and according to the municipal finance laws, and Rich can explain that process so since he's doing it, we can. And then every month, we go through and fill out an expense report that's submitted to the president. The president would then, the president who is charged with the enforcement of every single council rule, not just this one, would then go through the expense report, determine what's an actual necessary expense, determine what's an excluded expense, redline the document, and then submit it, and we get reimbursed for any actual necessary expenses. We would not be given money from the excluded expenses.
All right, so just to clarify, and again, I believe I got that, the pre-approval, it's okay. I don't know if the switch is even on.
That's not even on.
Yeah. Okay.
That would help.
Okay, so pre-approval is for something that we want to attend, that we need approval to be able to go and have it paid for.
Specifically accommodations
Right.
and travel.
Reimbursement is approval, it's not a pre-approval.
Yes, it's a post-approval, not pre-approval. The reason that we put pre-approval, that's consistent with general city policy, and these are usually the most expensive things that are done.
Right.
It could be, $500, $1,000, $1,200.
A conference,
Conference
yeah.
with an airplane ticket, conference fee, a hotel room, and
Overnight,
meals. Like, that could get pricey, so.
No, I can definitely see you want to be able to have some control over there, and that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's certainly control for the president.
I just want to make sure that other normal expenses that we would be submitting, it doesn't have to be pre-approved as
No,
well.
yeah, if you-
But the
yeah,
president
there-
would make the determination of whether or not to pay it or not pay it.
Yep, and certainly, there's a phone, actual and necessary expenses, the phone is listed in there. That's not subject to pre-approval. I specifically included just travel for pre-approval. We can put the pre-approval language for conference fees as well, if that's the pleasure of the committee.
Councilor Sahni, please.
Thank you.
We have down, I see under B, 1B, D, phone. Also, internet access, is that, would be covered, or is that something we can add on? So
That's something you can add on.
If
you-
we had to use the internet to access the council agenda and stuff like that?
Yeah, if that's something, the way that this was structured, just by way of background, is similar to what is done when you do your personal income taxes. Is they'll ask you, do you use your phone for work? What percentage do you use your phone for work? And then you'd be entitled to that reimbursement. If you'd like to include internet access to your home, if you use your internet access for 10%, if 10% of your home internet access for council work, then you'd be entitled to a 10% reimbursement.
So that has to be worded in this?
Yep,
to
it'd have to be,
include
it would have to be, it would just add it, we'd add a subsection D.
Okay. The other question is?
E, I'm sorry.
When we do this phone, they're talking about, do we have to submit our telephone bill every month in then? Is that, or is that
Yeah.
something we just do on a log and then present the log? And then-
That's up to the president on what documentation
He wants
he would
to.
want to have to substantiate any expenses. Certainly, by way of accountability, would be probably prudent to submit receipts and other bills that are seeking to be reimbursed that wasn't included within the rule, probably just by a clerical oversight. So we can include that, no problem.
Councilor Napolitano.
Thank you. So just getting back on the phone, because I want to share some other additional feedback on that. That would be determined by the council president, how he makes a determination on phone reimbursement.
Yeah, if you came in, for an example, could possibly, just speaking in terms of a hypothetical, if you said, I use my cell phone for 100% council business and I don't use it for anything else, the president could say, I don't think you use it for 100%, is that accurate?
Yeah.
And then you could redline it or reduce it.
The reason I raised that question is that I run into this in my daily job. Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, for landlines. Unless you have a specific standalone phone service, your phone service is bundled in with is a double play or a triple play. It's one figure for your combined services. Now, under no circumstances would be, I think anybody here would be expected to be reimbursed a percentage of their cable bill. But internet and phone are a fraction of that. And if it's not, and if that doesn't necessarily need to be in the language of the rule, we as ourselves, or at least to our council president, we need to discuss that likelihood as well. Because I have run into situations where customers have called up and have to keep their phones separate from a bundle and actually pay more money as a result of it, strictly because they need to be able to submit a document to their employer for a reimbursement of phone. So these are subtle things that we may not necessarily run into unless the fact that we have people who run into that in their day-to-day.
Yep.
So that's something I think that, we will need to discuss amongst ourselves, because that could be, if it's strictly by the phone bill, anybody that has a combined service with FiOS, with Xfinity, is not going to be able to provide that, because the bills just
As a
don't break
practical
down
matter,
the
it's hard to break
services
down,
that
yeah.
way.
That's understood.
Yeah, okay.
Councilor Sani.
Can we cap off on internet and telephone and say some for each month for each member? Is
Yeah, you
that
can
something we
say-
can do? So
Yeah, it would be an easy way to structure the language that would say something to the effect of, shall be entitled to reimbursement of the percentage of use up to X amount percentage or X amount of dollars on a monthly basis. That's easy to do.
Because I'm wondering if we set everyone equally this way, everybody knows that that's what they have allowance for, is say $50 on the cell phone, $50 on the internet, or $50 on home phone, then, everybody's gonna get $150 on an expense for your usage. Is that something we can put in language? I'm not sure if that's something that the body, the board would wanna do. The other thing is, stationery and office supplies, or computer, hardware, software, and accessories, anything that we use if we have to use for council?
We could follow the IRS rules for depreciation.
Okay.
It's something harder to calculate, so it might be tougher. If you bought a computer, that was something that I raised at the last meeting, I would certainly advise against that unless there's a way that it would be owned by the council.
Right, I remember you mentioned that the
Yeah,
last time.
that's certainly what I would recommend is because certainly, any documents that you generate for a public purpose are subject to the public records law. Any emails that you receive that have a public purpose are subject to the public records law.
Okay.
So I'd encourage,
Okay.
first of all, encourage you to use your city email addresses that were issued,
Right.
as well as, keep everything as segregated as possible.
Right. What about, community expenses, donations to community groups, is that something allowed? No? Okay. I'm looking at other towns and cities that do, have their expenses like that, and I'm just giving suggestions and ideas just to see.
We
Thank you.
tried to make it simple as possible, but like Dave said, that this is in accordance with the charter and the way it's written, and I would just caution everybody to err on the side of caution with what you're putting in for these reimbursements, because it's all subject to public records and FOIAs, and use that front page of the newspaper rule. If you don't want to see it on the front page of the newspaper, I won't put it in.
Sponsor of the resolution, Rosa Florio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there like a set, like Mr. Council Sani said, put a set amount? In other words, we're gonna give you $25 for your cell phone. Cell phones, if you get an individual plan, they can run over $100, okay, with the internet and, especially everything that goes along with it today. And if, you know, like on the city council, I mean, I had to get a more expensive phone. No, I don't expect the people to pay for it. But I have to get internet on it, because if I'm away and someone's calling me or someone's emailing me, I should be able to reach my constituents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I can't carry a laptop with me everywhere I go, but I carry my phone. So I had to add internet into my phone so I could be easily accessible to my constituents. Is there a way you could say, listen, we don't care what kind of a plan you have. We don't care if you pay $100, $200. We're giving you, every month, we're allowing you to have $30 for your cell phone.
Certainly. I mean, all you do is you redline the entire text of it, and you say, phone, it shall be included, phone equals $25 a month. That's all it means.
So why don't we come up with a formula of what we feel is more than fair for the general public and for us, our expenses, is though to say, phone, like Councilor Napolitano said, I have internet, I have cable, I have a telephone line all bundled up. I use my internet for the council. Probably mostly of my internet is used for the council, but my children also need internet. So why can't we just say, okay, we're gonna give you $30 a month on internet, we're gonna give you $30 a month on cell phone. We don't care if you have a package that's $500, $1,000, or we don't care if you have a package that's $20.
That makes it much, much simpler.
So that makes it easier, people know exactly what we're spending the money on, it makes it easier for the auditor, and it makes it easier all the way around, where everybody gets equal amount.
It assumes that
Now,
there's-
if somebody else decides, excuse me,
Yeah.
somebody decides to go to a conference, 2 people go to a conference, and 8 or 9 other people don't go, then that money gets returned to the general public. If I decide,
Doesn't quite break down like that,
but you know what I'm saying, in other
but
words.
it's what gets used, what,
Well, one at a
what
time
doesn't
here,
get
please.
used.
But we know the
Councilor
cell
Florio.
phone, the internet is something that's used by everybody. So that percentage gets used by everybody. So that percentage would be, where 11 members would equally get that percentage. If there's anything beyond that, if we use it, we use it. If we don't use it, it goes back to the general fund. It's that simple.
What it does essentially is it creates a floor. So each member would be entitled to, say, just speaking in terms of round numbers, $25 for phone, $25 for internet. They'd be automatically entitled to the $50 for reimbursement for those 2 items. But then there's also a ceiling. So there would be the amount of money appropriated divided by 11. That's the amount. That's the window of how much you can spend per year.
Right. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
essentially what it's doing.
Yeah.
And-
Councilor Napolitano.
And the thing is, you still need to submit for the reimbursement.
You still need to pay for it first.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, because the one thing I really don't want to see in any of this is, and this is myself, but this is also talking to people who've been watching these meetings and have been very quick to throw some feedback, is that there shouldn't be anything that automatically pays us $25 for phone, automatically pays us $30 for internet. It really should be something that, if, yeah, we establish a process or an amount, dollar amount, where we can, I lost the word that you were using. You're entitled to submit.
The reimbursement
For the
amount, yeah, so-
reimbursement amount.
And to do so,
But
to
you still
prepay
need-
would be, or to advance pay would be inconsistent with the charter.
Right. But what I'm getting at is that you still need to submit in the form for that reimbursement for that phone. We'll set a cap and determine it, but it's not something that's gonna automatically pay us a check. You still need to physically go through the process of submitting for reimbursement,
It'll be
correct?
subject to approval.
You're gonna have
Subject
to,
to approval, right.
you're gonna have to show that you actually have a cell phone bill to
Yeah,
get reimbursed.
that's what I'm
or something.
saying.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I agree, that's exactly that's the point I'm getting at, is that I don't wanna see money just go out. I think that violates the spirit of what this whole new
I
council is
wouldn't
about in
approve
the
it.
first place.
I wouldn't approve the expenditure if I didn't have
Well,
any.
I'm not questioning whether you would or wouldn't, I mean, that's
it's
not,
just-
I just wanna make
different-
sure that
different levels of-
we're operating on a level that's consistent, I just wanna, and I bring it out so we're all on the same wavelength, on the same page here, that it's not a automatic amount. Yeah, granted, 11 of us have cell phones, but there's gonna be a time where you're gonna have somebody who doesn't have a cell phone. Yeah, as much as that is hard to believe in this day and age. But the thing is that it shouldn't be an automatic, you need to be reimbursed on what you actually have, what you actually use, and what's necessary amount. So, I mean, I think this is fine. I've got no issues with this.
Yeah, there are some things that I'm catching now,
Yeah.
because no rule's ever perfect on the first go.
Right,
We just, when Rich and I, we didn't catch the fact that we didn't put receipts in, because we just assumed that would just happen. So we're not gonna assume that each expenditure would have to be, or each reimbursement would have to be substantiated in some way, and that will be built in, to the procedure subsection.
Okay.
Well, what's your pleasure?
John, any feedback?
Council Sani.
Do you have a suggestion now on the wording here? I know you said you want to make some changes. Do we
do.
want to make the changes now and then bring it out to the floor?
I'd rather have this tabled and go back to the drawing board a little bit.
Okay.
Do a little tweaking and then come back at the next sitting in the committee.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to lay this over into the next meeting and
Okay, the motion's made to lay over to next meeting. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. It's been passed. Clerk, read number 2.
Item number 2, this is a ordinance brought by Council Peter Napolitano to add a new section 7-6, the transfer of funds.
Sit right back down.
Again, Councilor Napolitano.
Thank you. All right, I do see that you obviously did some tweaking on this, or is this
I was
is
still-
exactly what I?
This is exactly what, I asked for the electronic copy just so we could kick it around a little bit. We're kind of focusing on the council rules of the last couple of weeks, but we'll make sure that we,
The reason I was, okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
well-
That's what I was looking for, the respective branches, the one we had spoken about. There
Yeah.
was one thing that was still inconsistent with the new unicameral. So actually, the only thing on it, do you have any feedback on this? or-
Rich, sir.
Rich?
No, I mean, again, we were waiting for a digital copy so we can modify this and give it back to you in some sort of draft. What you're asking for is something we do as standard operating procedure anyway, but budget transfer requests. I have a form here that is filled out, whether it's an interdepartmental transfer, if it's a receipt reserved for appropriation, if it's a free cash request. Everything that you asked for, I asked for.
Mhm.
So I think the policy is great. I think what you're asking for, we already have, and happy to attach this form with these transfers, so you have exactly the account numbers it's coming from. It's going to the budget amounts when the transfer is asked for. And then every one of them asks for, please include a letter to the mayor and CC the auditor CFO describing the reason for such and so transfer. So I believe we already have the policy in place that you'd want to ask for, so we just bundle it together and submit it as part of the transfer requests.
Yeah, this is just adding it to the ordinances and making it part of it, so that's fine. It's just,
Right.
the only thing that from the copy, if you have it, there's, that changes is, so paragraph C, copy of all transfer requests shall be delivered to each member of the city council at least 72 hours prior to the meeting of the city council instead of their respective branches.
Yeah, we would just change that to
Yeah.
72 hours prior to that regularly scheduled meeting.
Yeah,
Or to-
okay.
That's,
At which such requests will be considered?
I guess.
yeah.
the-
that's-
Okay, so we can eliminate of
To the
the
meeting.
respective branches.
The only thing with regard to money orders, which comes up, has come up in my prior careers, is that, what I've seen happen is that when a money order goes before the council and it's put into committee, if it's not acted upon that night, we ask that it be voted out at the next committee meeting and come right back to the council, because many of these money transfers are time sensitive, so we'd hate to have a money order die in committee, so to speak. So we just ask, or at least I would ask, that you consider, if you put a money order in committee, that at that committee meeting, you come out with a favorable or unfavorable action, and doesn't lay over, because, again, most of these money orders are time sensitive.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no issue with that. I mean, my whole thing has just been that, is having more information than we've had traditionally, and, you know, again, I've got no frame of reference in the last 2 years, but you know, it's, when we get a transfer, you know, for example, we're starting to move money around from free cash, or putting in, you know, as far as what that total is, you know, what the current balance is when a transfer comes in, you know, we don't have that information. It's accessible when we ask you for it, and I'm not questioning that, but, you know, in trying to look at an appropriation or a transfer prior to the meeting, you know, the more information we have would, I think, keep some of the questions down to a minimum. Okay? I mean, that's one, so if this is in conjunction with how you're already operating, I would motion, again, with the one, well, actually, this came in as a resolution, I believe, right? John? I did, no, I know that this is an ordinance, but the original thing was, okay. So we can approve this and send this back for favorable action? Thank you. All right, so I would make the motion, and unless you have anything else you'd like to add to it.
Just that the amendment be,
Yeah.
be good with the respect, just the technical amendment of the respective branches.
I would motion that favorable action, recommendation for favorable action on this with the amendment of deleting of the respective branches in section 7-6 C. And then also, I believe the original ordinance was 7-6, John? And then add a section 7-7 for additional required information.
Did you,
They're two different
subject to the
sections.
committee's, yeah, it's subject to the committee's pleasure. Would you give consideration to Rich's suggestion that of the timeliness of the consideration of it?
Oh,
That it
yeah,
be-
yeah,
that it be-
yeah, we don't want,
would
not
that
looking to
language be
kill things in
include-
committee.
Yeah, would that language be included within the rule, or?
Where would
the
that be?
ordinance?
You got section E, the city council shall consider each such transfer request in accordance with the rules of city council. I would just like to see in there that, that it would come out of committee after one meeting with a favorable or unfavorable action, so that we can attend to the business. This is, money orders
Is that what our
a
rules
little more
already say,
unique.
John?
Then vote unfavorable action.
Unfavorable
action. Well, that's the whole thing. Money orders,
Oh, yes.
I don't think money orders are the type of thing that you'd want to die in committee. I think you'd want to come out and say no. If you wanted to die in committee, then come out with unfavorable action. But let us know where we stand so I can get along with business. It could be jobs at hand, it could be contracts at hand, it could be many sensitive things that we want to conduct city business. So it's a little different than a law or a rule that you can banter about. These are time-sensitive issues.
But we are talking in conjunction with transfers, right? When you're talking about money orders?
Yes, money orders, transfers, free cash requests, et cetera. I just, if the.
Orders relative to money.
I just want to make sure I'm getting the terminology right.
When he
Yeah.
said money orders, I think he was actually talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
money
Not-
orders
not-
too.
not- not-
Yeah, I was
not
looking
the
through
post
here for a
office.
second, wondering,
Yeah.
where is that?
Yeah,
You know?
sorry.
No, that's fine.
Money matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that would be my suggestion to put that in there. It would, I think, make more efficient. And
Do we have a copy of our rules to see how our rules spell that out? Because if the rules already state that, then we're covered. If not,
Page 30, I think.
make sure we're all looking at revision January 2014. We've already, okay.
Yeah,
You talking Rule 46? Or,
it requires it has a 6-week cap on the issuance of a report. That's assuming that you have a meeting within that time. I think is.
I think most of our committees have been running almost twice a month at this
I would
point.
suggest adding something to achieve Rich's goal is to say or add a subsection with the exception of orders pertaining to money. Rule 46. The matter shall be discharged or a report be issued within 2 weeks. And I think, is that acceptable to?
Yeah, or it just that, I'm not sure if it's always a 2-week period, but as long as a money order money matter goes to committee, at that committee meeting, it
Would
would
that
come out
rule-
favorable, unfavorable.
The next regular meeting?
Yeah.
Council Sani.
I don't see a problem with that, because like, they mentioned, either you're gonna vote yes or no. I mean, you have to move along the city, you can't hold back money. If they're gonna make something that's gonna be, that either, like you said, jobs or something that we need to do with rates and anything else that has to be done. So letting them know yes or no, I think a week is fine. We're already in the meeting, we're already talking about it. I think you should make your decision that day and know if they're providing every information that we need to know, I think that's fine. I have no problem with putting that in there as wording, that they put it out there within that, next committee meeting, favorable or unfavorable.
Councilor Napolitano.
And that's the key, it's information. Because in past experiences, and again, not talking this session, but in past experiences, I've been at meetings, in previous administrations, where you're getting the information and a decision has to be made that night. And we're not, and this is, I guess this is where some of this is coming from, is just the more information we have, the better we're able to be able to turn the issue around and be able to provide a quick, an answer. Again, it's nothing to do.
No, I understand,
What's
and I
going on?
understand a lot of
It's-
things happen differently in the
Yeah.
past, but what I'm trying to do is move forward with how things are going to happen. So by all means, if there's a money matter that comes before the council, I would expect it to go to committee. And then at that committee, I just asked you to bring it out with a favorable, unfavorable. And at that committee, I would certainly attend any meeting that I was invited to explain the case and/or bring the department head or whoever else is involved.
Okay.
So I understand exactly what you're trying to achieve, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
achieve the same.
Yeah, the more information we have, the better we're able to make a qualified decision. That's ultimately what it comes down to. And,
Councilor Hanlon.
Any kind of request for free cash transfer or a supplemental appropriation,
Transfers.
any kind of money matter that has to do with conducting government business, it's something that shouldn't die in committee. It should either come out and you say, yes, we approve, or no, we don't approve. Now, if it goes to committee, I just ask that it comes out of that committee at the same meeting it goes in. So you put something in committee, I'd ask that committee, you talk about it, you figure it out, and you come.
What he's talking about is, he's talking about stuff.
yeah,
I'm just talking about transfers of funds in this particular instance. In this section 7-6, we're talking about transfers of funds.
I think that is a revision. Yeah,
Excuse me?
It should be a step.
yeah.
Well, if we're talking about 7-6, transfers of funds, it says the city council shall consider each transfer request in accordance with the rules of city council.
Right.
I'm just saying that if it comes to transfer of funds, when it comes to money,
No,
Well,
no,
that's-
no. 7-6 is the ordinances. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is that, and I think what John is getting at is that, E is a general statement that does cover how our rules are, but there has to be a rule that governs what you're talking
Yes.
about. That's the difference.
That would be the amendment of 46.
Right.
If you chose to amend 46, and it just jotted, so the rule wouldn't end after further time, there would be a semicolon, and it would say, in the case of financial matters covered under sections 7-6, and then whatever sections, such matters shall be referred out of committee within 2 weeks. Or then you said that you should a shorter time period. And speaking to Clerk Burley's point, I think it would force at that point, it would cause the committee to have a meeting in a shorter amount of time. So they would have to have a meeting because under their own rules, they'd have to refer it out. You'd have to, well, they would work, 7-6 would be an ordinance, and then 46 would be the rule change that would govern all matters.
This is the copy, this is
The
right
ordinance
here.
doesn't exist yet. It would-
Right.
It would be supplemented.
Yeah. All right, what I want to recommend is that we act on on section 7-6, 7-7, and that we visit a rules change to govern those concerns with turnaround. I definitely don't want to hold up important, business of the city in a committee regarding to money. But I can also see that potentially, and again, we don't operate based on any one individual. We operate on process and how the system works. There could be situations where additional information may be required, and I'd hate to set something out unfavorable when all it really needs is some additional information to make it favorable. I'm not trying to be a stickler on this. I just think that it does need to be changed in here, and I think to get the wording right in our rules, it's going to take just a little forethought, especially if the
It should be
questions.
pretty straightforward. If
Should.
we do it,
But I mean, to do it tonight would be,
yeah, I'd like to, take a closer look at it.
Yeah, that's what I-
Just
that's-
Not
that-
not jot something down on the back of it.
yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't want to rush a
Yeah.
change through, but that won't stop us from acting on this. Because our general, right now, in conjunction with our rules,
It requires a 6-week referral.
and that's really much anything, but, John, normally, we don't go 6 weeks. I mean, we met 2 weeks ago, we met a month ago.
It would probably happen in the summertimes, I would imagine, that if a matter was referred to committee over the summertime and left to languish in the committee, it would kind of force, it kind of keeps the wheels moving, is I think what Rich is trying to do.
Right. And I'm on board for that. I agree with that. So. Yes.
7
It's in our rules. Yeah. All right, so
Rule 17.
I'd like to reintroduce,
Yeah, it used to be Rule 17.
so I'd like to, again, make my motion that we accept section 7-6 and 7 with a positive recommendation to the city council with the amendment to section 7-6C to remove the line that says of their respected branches.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Audience pass. Hey,
Doing better than Congress already. Yeah, I'll work on it, and I'll report back to the committee. It's a separate resolution, it's not, just do it separate.
All right, item number 3. This is an order of by Council Michael Marchese as president, that the city council and the mayor's office work collaboratively to develop a snow shoveling ordinance.
we invite the city's, the mayor's chief of staff and the city solicitor, please.
Good evening.
Could you please state your name and title for the records, please?
Sure, I'm Melissa Murphy Rodriguez, Chief of Staff, Mayor Carla Di Maria. Hi, good evening, Colleen Mejia, City Solicitor.
Thank you. Let's see, number two. Where we are here? What number are we on? Number three. Where's these?
The mayor is the sponsor.
Who's the sponsor?
The mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, you
It's okay.
people. Go ahead, you can,
Sure.
explain.
The number one complaint that the mayor's office received this winter had to do with removal of snow and ice from sidewalks, from people walking to school, elderly people complaining that corners, in particularly houses that are on corners, weren't shoveled and that children were walking to school in the street. This seems to always come back on the agenda right when the snow melts, so we all forget how bad it was. But this is actually the language that was considered, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 sessions ago, and the mayor wanted to bring it forward again to see if we could have a conversation that about some language that may work for the city of Everett.
Council Son.
I know in the past this has been brought up along with Councilor Hicks and your former Councilor Rodriguez, and in the first year I did support it, and then the second year I did not support it because we found out that if someone puts the shovel to the sidewalk and someone slips and falls, it goes on to the homeowner that touches, and that's what I thought we were told. And that's where I then turned around and said I couldn't support it because we were telling people, okay, if you touch the sidewalk and shovel and someone else falls and slips, you're gonna be sued. And this is where I
I think you probably misunderstood. If there was some discussion in case law regarding unnatural and natural accumulation. And if somebody takes reasonable care and shoveling it and cleaning it, then that's not the
So if
case.
we have this ordinance and we put something through, you're saying that we're telling people they should shovel their side, in front of their house, someone slips and falls, they're not, the person that shoveled it is not gonna be held
Right,
liable?
Right.
Okay, because the last time I took
mean-
it as we were told, and I remember that was told, that's the only reason why I didn't support this, because it went back onto the homeowner, whoever touched that sidewalk would be responsible.
We can't tell you what a jury or a judge is going to do if a pedestrian sues a homeowner for slipping and falling in front of their house on ice, or we can't guarantee that a jury is gonna award or not award, or a judge.
I think, city sidewalks are technically owned by the city. So if someone falls on a city sidewalk, technically the person makes the claim at City Hall.
Right.
We don't see a lot of claims for people who fall on ice or on sidewalks. I think people kind of realize that that's part of the living in New England.
Hazard.
Yeah. What we do see, and I'd be happy to bring pictures down that people send into City Hall, what we do see is people very concerned about the public safety hazard of having to push a baby stroller in the street, or or anything that they're trying to get through the sidewalks. That seems to be the bigger issue that is coming up from constituents.
Oh, and I agree, because I know, like, the first year when I did support it, that I did see a child falling and hurt, breaking their ankle, and I ended up taking them to the hospital. But, and climbing over the mountains at the time, and that's going back almost, 8 years ago. And then I know that we brought it in front of us again, and I didn't support it because of that, what we were told. And the other thing was the seniors having a problem shoveling in front of their walkway and not having the money or not having, capability to do it, because they're at that age that they can't do it. So that's,
Yeah, we built in, if you remember correctly, when that came up 2 years ago, we built in a waiver, and we did keep that language in there for you to review. And it was a waiver for people 65 and over who had a certain poverty level, because that was a major concern for the council. So we did leave that in. That's E.
Now, my other concern is, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go on one more thing. My other concern was, I'm noticing a lot of plow trucks for outside, for businesses, when they plowing out. I know they're not supposed to be plowing out, but they do. And we clear our walkways, and then the corners are, we clear our corners on Main Street or whatever corners at Everett Street, and then these plows are plowing over. What happens then when the person already did the work and cleaned it all up, and then the next minute you're seeing piles there? You make a phone call, but code enforcement didn't see it, or it's too late, and now the
Yeah,
person.
I mean, we do our best to try to catch them. A lot of the time, you can actually, you know, just from extrapolate the way it went
Right.
and tell where it came from, and we do our best to stay on top of that. You know, it's a difficult situation all around. I mean, we get phone calls from people who are upset that their driveways got, you know, covered in snow again after they already shoveled. But unfortunately, we have to get the streets clean, so it happens, and it's frustrating for, you know, if I'm out shoveling and it happens to me, I'm like, oh, you know. But I think the most important thing here is the public safety aspect of it. It does give 10 hours after the end of snow to clear, so, you know, it does get, you won't get ticketed right away if that happens to you. You'll have that 10-hour chance to get out there and make sure it's cleaned up.
The other thing is, the crosswalks. I know I called down and they did come down and clean this crosswalk area. Is that something that the city is gonna be doing around the areas to make sure the crosswalks are clean for the pedestrians to walk?
Yeah, we've been trying to use the sidewalk plows to keep those the crosswalk areas as clean as possible on the streets where the sidewalk plows fit. So that's most of the major streets. We are, in the capital improvement plan, we have a Bobcat, with a plow attachment that will be able to be used in some of the smaller streets. The issue is that some of our sidewalks are smaller than the 36 inches. That's required by ADA and required for our sidewalk plow to fit through. But most crosswalks are wide enough. Bus stops, though, are another issue, and that comes up with getting MBTA to come in and clear those, so you see that a lot as well.
The other thing is, I don't know if we can word it in here, my concern is the fire hydrants. Putting a yellow flag maybe up so they know where they are, because I know the one on Locust Street was covered through almost the whole winter, and that was not cleared on. So, yeah, so it's something we can put in here that maybe that the city takes effect and puts it up, and then the fire department has to make sure they're cleared, or the city services, someone has to make sure they're cleared.
Some communities have instituted a adopt a hydrant program, where people on the street actually adopt it and make it their responsibility to clean it out, and that's something we could look at as well, if neighbors were interested in doing that. I guess it's become a popular program in communities.
Yeah.
But the flag is
I
a great
think,
idea. I think the flag's a great idea.
I just think something should be there. I know I experienced a bad fire in my family, so I know.
No, it's important to
And
have
other
it
people
lit
in the area had fires, and I think not knowing where a fire hydrant is, yeah.
Counselor Hammond?
I have, and I'm not sure you'll remember it, but I think about 12 years ago, there was a court case, I believe. And anyway, the court said that asking someone to clear the sidewalk, the city sidewalk, is not allowable, and the city cannot make a rule against it. I think you're around when we had that. I have that decision at home somewhere, and I've been looking for it, and I'll find it, but I don't have it with me right now. But they definitely said that you could not ask a resident to shovel a sidewalk. What you could ask them to do, if you plowed your driveway and it went out over the sidewalk, you could make them remove that. If you had a water spout off a roof of a building that was, you know, a market or something or other, and that spout come out and it dripped over the sidewalk and froze, you can ask them to remove that, because that's not a natural, that's an unnatural thing, you know.
I'd be
having it done
surprised to
that
see
way.
that, because there is a lot of communities that surround us that have snow shoveling ordinances, and we were just looking at 40U, and 40U actually talks about snow shoveling ordinances as
Yeah.
well, the state law, so I'd be surprised, maybe there's been further case law since then.
Yeah.
I know when we researched this last time, I didn't see
Well,
it.
I'll find that, but, I
Well,
mean.
maybe it's best we lay this item over
I
then
mean, We're
and
not
so
too
we
much of a
can.
hurry now, because I think the snow is gone, I hope.
Yeah, no,
you
I
know.
hope too.
But,
I just said that to the mayor, I said, we keep introducing this right when the snow leaves.
The other thing, too, is that I wanted to say something about, you know, we have to clear the sidewalk. What are we gonna do with elderly people?
Well, we did
There's
build a waiver in
provisions
here,
For waiver.
yeah,
Oh,
To build
I
a
haven't, I'm
waiver.
sorry, I haven't read the whole thing yet.
yeah, it's section E.
And who gets that? I mean, is there some way of,
Yeah, it talks about you have to have an age and also an income.
uh-huh,
And then in addition, you can also, it also allows waivers for people who have a demonstrative physical disability.
okay. And the other thing is that what my learned counsel was talking about is the sidewalk plows. When I shovel my sidewalk, the plow puts more snow on the sidewalk. I have to shovel that again. The first storm we had the second storm we had this year, the one that turned into terrible ice afterwards, my sidewalk was clear, a good 4-foot path, clear. And the plows came by sometime after midnight, and not only plowed over the sidewalk, but they went right into my driveway, into my front yard and everything. these big, huge clumps of snow and ice. You couldn't shovel them. I mean, you couldn't even pick them off. They were so solid, you know. And I think that these trucks, they drive by at such a fast rate of speed that it comes, and I'm telling you, it came 12 feet off the street into my yard. Clumps of snow, you know. And that shouldn't be allowed. If they want to plow, let them plow, but, you know, don't have it so that they plow these things up on the sidewalk, because, you know, who gets rid of the snow now? You know, who would be responsible for getting rid of that snow that was dumped back on the side? Not my sidewalk, the whole of Main Street, you know, had it. You couldn't walk anywhere. You know, people were trying to walk in, you know, where the piles, they made a hole, and they were stepping in the holes to get back and forth. It was very, very tough walking, you know. But we have to do something with that. We have to tell these guys, you know, if you're gonna plow, but geez, don't plow at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, that's really tough, you know. So anyway, those are my three things that I want to talk about. And I'll find that court case. I know I will, because I know I have it, and I always keep saying, I'm gonna use this someday. Put it
Good.
away, so.
And we'll do some
Research, too.
shepherdizing of the case as well to see if we see anything.
Councilman Napolitano.
Now, how would this be enforced? Code
Code
enforcement?
enforcement.
What are we looking at for penalties, or is that?
1-8, so the 25, 50, 100, and 300. Code enforcement already does go out. We do have an ordinance on the books that you can't throw snow into the street. We also have an ordinance on the books that you have to clean your car off within 24 hours. So code enforcement is already in for the storms and enforcing those.
Good.
From the chair, may I just have a comment? I've seen a lot the last couple of years. People have been going, helping out the city as far as cleaning up the hydrants, and they're helping out the people, clear the sidewalks, like all the way down. For elderly people, I noticed on my street, people are, you know, getting together, and they're making a path go all the way down to the bottom of the street. So I think it's working, and people are helping each other, and I think it's working. It takes time, but it's a good thing. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to lay this over to the next meeting.
Second.
and They can provide us with the,
Some additional
more
information.
information.
Second.
Motion made to lay over to next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes, opposed? The ayes have it. We have passed.
All right, item number four. This is a resolution by Council Rosa DeFlorio to create an ordinance which would deed it as tilling of trash barrels.
Number four. There you go. Chief of Staff, City Solicitor. Okay, again, the Chief of Staff and City Solicitor, already been checked in, so, John Hanlon.
We had talked, several council members about having this as a non-criminal distribution case, you know, where we would give them a ticket and not be concerned if they don't pay the ticket, they go to court. And the court doesn't care about what has happened here. The court cares only that they have not paid a ticket. That's what, non-criminal disposition. I said it right that time. That's what we had talked about, and I see you saying it over here, commencement of a criminal complaint, but that's not non-criminal distribution.
Yeah, this gives you the chance to either do either or. So you could either use a non-criminal disposition or a civil, or a criminal complaint. So 1-8 is the non-criminal disposition. So that's the fine. So when it references section 1-8, that's talking about non-criminal.
Really? I didn't think that 1-8 was that.
1-8.
1-8
Yeah, it talks about non-criminal disposition.
I'll look at that. Okay, all right, that's all I wanted to say.
Council Sani. All set? Anything else? Council Napolitano.
Okay, I'm honestly not familiar with section 1-8. Now, is this saying that this is a non-criminal disposition?
Right, so it's saying that the violation of this section, saying that it's unlawful to steal a trash can, would be subject to a fine, a non-criminal fine under section 1-8. which
Okay.
is the 25, 50, 100, 300.
And who enforces that? Who sets the fine for that?
1-8,
One
it's in your ordinances. 1-8 is an ordinance that sets the fines for all tickets for the city.
Those are the tickets that go from 25 to 50 to 100, 300.
So any non-criminal disposition in the entire city is set as a 1-8.
All right, well, see, where I have a problem with this is I do have a problem with it being a non-criminal thing. And the reason I say that is because we probably have as many, if not more, bicycles stolen in the city than we do trash barrels. We don't treat that as a non-criminal item. That is something that is a criminal item.
But the city owns the trash barrels, I think that was the intent.
Well,
Councilor DeFlorio.
but then again, it gets right back into the same thing. Why are we fining them? Why are we not holding them accountable?
Well, we could,
See, when you take the
teeth.
teeth,
You could do
with,
both or either.
my feeling with law, and again, it's purely from a layman's perspective, and, you know, with some limited criminal justice training in years ago, the more you take the teeth out of the law, the less the law has any bite.
I don't think it's taking the teeth out, because it's giving you an either-or option, so it's actually, you actually could give the person a $25, $50, $100, $300 ticket and take a criminal complaint out against
But
them.
why are we doing an either-or?
I think, well, if I thought was that there's an extreme number of trash cans that are being stolen. It's a non-felony, so to take out a criminal complaint and go forward may be kind of labor-intensive. So you may be better off trying to recoup the money through a fine than to go the other route. That's I think what Councilor DeFlorio's.
And just to add to that, if you take out a criminal complaint and the court gives the defendant a fine to pay, the fine goes to the probation department for the state, it does not come back to the city. With ticketing, the code enforcement tickets through 1-8, the money comes directly to the city.
But then doesn't this potentially become a moneymaker for the city?
No, because
I think you're just recouping the cost of the barrel.
which are about
Okay.
$100. That's $190.
All right. I mean, I still haven't made up my mind one way or the other, so I mean, don't get the
No.
wrong idea. I've got some concerns with it.
And we've advised Councilor DeFlorio that this would actually be passed by the City Services Commission. So if you were going to make a recommendation, our recommendation would be that you refer it either favorably or unfavorably to the City Services Commission because they're in charge of all trash regulations.
But are they empowered, we've had this conversation
Yeah,
before.
Colleen has the ordinance.
That's what I'm concerned with, is
Under
are they empowered to set fines, or rather to collect fines? Or however
Under,
this is set.
in chapter 16 of the ordinances, 1656 talks about city services adopting regulations, and then in that same section, it talks about people who fail to comply with that and anything in this article, subject to section 1-8.
I guess I'm still not clear on how that commission obtains legislative authority to be able to pass these type of rules.
The legislative authority is in the
It's
ordinances.
through the ordinances.
So the ordinances give them authority to set regulations that can have penalties.
Okay.
Our sponsor, Rosa DeFlorio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was trying to make this a non-criminal issue, as Melissa has explained. If we have to bring him to court, we have to send him a lawyer, we have to send the chief there, whoever we have to send there. That costs the city money. This isn't to make money. This is only to recoup the expenses of the barrels. So when you're fining someone because they're taking a barrel, it's not because you want to make money. You want to recoup the money of the barrels that are being taken and not being returned. So this isn't about trying to make money. It's about trying to recoup the taxpayers' money that's being taken through the barrels. So that was the whole idea.
Counselor, Napolitano.
Right, but if the barrels aren't recovered, how are you finding a party that is guilty? You need to have some evidence. So the thing is that if you do catch them in the act and you recover the barrels in that process, there is no collecting funds to reimburse anybody for barrels. So the thing is, then do the fines then become a way of being able to reimburse for barrels that are not recovered. See, this is the extent, this is how I'm thinking this through on this, and this
Yeah,
is
and
where,
I guess it can
this
be
is where I
either-
have a problem.
So it comes down to, is it a reimbursement or a deterrent? As I think all fines are pretty much deterrents.
I think the law for theft is a deterrent. I think fines can potentially become a joke, and I don't want to see that happen. You know, I mean, if a kid takes the barrel accidentally, while they're bringing the barrels, I don't want to see them fined either way. Somebody takes as a practical joke, yeah, I'd like to see a warning, and the police will make that determination if they in fact catch somebody in the act. But I don't expect the Everett Police to investigate this, send a detective on it, and in which case then you don't have somebody who you're holding accountable. You have to catch them in the act to be able to say, you stole a barrel, here's your ticket. I don't see code enforcement being out there able to do that in the gist of everything else they do.
Well, we're actually
I can
pretty
see the
lucky.
police responding to a criminal complaint or a police report. But again, even there, the expectation that they're going to solve the crime, so to speak, unless they catch them in the act, it isn't going to happen. So-
Capital helps us a lot with the thefts, so they'll.
What is it?
Capital helps us a lot with the theft, so they'll, if you rent a trash can, your extra trash can has a marker on it.
Yeah.
You know, so they'll call and say, this address has an extra trash can, or, you know, a gas station that shouldn't have one has one, or something like that. Capital helps a lot with us.
But who makes the determination whether it's a innocent mistake or a predetermined act?
It's usually pretty obvious that it's not, an innocent mistake, because they're usually using the trash can.
That's where a mistake could be, though, you know.
Yeah,
It's,
if I had another trash can at my house, I would know that I had now suddenly had two.
I'll give you
Yeah.
just an example. We get people, customers call my company, and they have bought boxes, cable boxes, over the internet. Now, you can buy them all you want, but the company doesn't sell them. If you buy them on the internet, it's hot, okay? So the person making the purchase may not be aware, maybe think they're getting a good deal. You know, we don't go out our way to prosecute them, but we get our equipment back. I just see some issues here, and for those reasons, I question the necessity. That's where I'm at, okay? And I'm trying to be convinced, to be fair, that there is a necessity. But the more I hear, the more it in my own mind, it underscores my feeling that this is a redundancy that isn't necessary. And that's what I'm concerned with, passing laws that are unnecessary. You know, I mean, we all are. We don't want to have to be spending time doing something for nothing. You know, and that's where my concerns lie.
Counselor Hanlon.
I just want to point out to the council, well, now that, we're saying capital has an instrument that we check
Mhm.
where the barrels belong. And, you know, if we find a barrel that belongs to 173 Main Street or 188 Main Street, we can say somehow, you know, it's not a mistake.
Right.
You know, if we look at gas station on Main Street, they're like maybe 148 or something like that. We find it in Glendale Square, and someone is using it somewhere else, then we can say, "That didn't get there by that." That was a deliberate attempt to move that thing from one place to another, you know.
We recently found 2 trash cans in Linfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get there by
I saw
accident.
two of them in
Yeah.
Chelsea today.
But somebody has to make a determination that it was a deliberate act and not a mistake. And that authority being made on the spot has got potential issues.
Well, I think, you know, a positive thing about that, like every ticket, I mean, every ticket we write has some level of subjectivity, right?
Mhm.
And that's why we have the hearing process, so that you have a person who is, right, a person who has, exactly, thank you, the right to appeal.
Counselor Sani.
Thank you. So, once they determine and they give out the ticket, and the person doesn't pay the ticket, what happens after that? Does it get a lien on the property owner, or do they go to court?
What happens after that is basically, since we adopted 40U, they would get another ticket with a warning. They would then get a certified letter saying that they're going to have their property liens, and then once a year, we do the liens. First it goes on the tax bill.
Yeah.
First it goes on the tax bill, and then it would be liened. The tenant goes to the property owner.
So the property owner would be responsible regardless of the tenant. So the property owner will get something in the mail on the second
Yes.
notice that their tenant may have got a violation. If the person's getting a ticket, do they have to show identification? Are they going after what's on the property owner of the house? Property owner of the house, okay. Because I know some things were talked about with the marijuana law, that if someone come up and asked for a license, they didn't have to give it to them, and then you're stuck with nothing. So I didn't know if that's gonna happen with the barrel, and so you're just gonna go off the property
We use
owner.
property for all
Okay.
of our tickets.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Hanlon.
Under 50. No, you don't have to pay. The city gives you, if you put in a report that your barrel's been stolen,
Police report, yeah.
a police report, the city gives you a barrel free.
Unless there's a pattern of bad behavior. So if your trash can gets stolen 3 times, conveniently, at least, you know,
And you got a
you're gonna
business up in Linfield, you're selling barrels.
Yeah.
so, yeah.
That's to rent,
If you want an extra one.
That's the rent them.
an additional.
Right, and that's why people are taking it, because they wanna pay the extra $150.
Right.
No,
it's
the city owns that barrel, and you have to leave it on the property.
It's a rental
A
fee.
yearly rental fee. It's a yearly rental fee, yes. They're a high commodity.
I dumped my trash in Chelsea. No, I didn't, that's not true. That's definitely not true.
We'll be sending this video to Chelsea. Yeah.
Well, every people aren't gonna know.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion
Oh,
to
it's up
send
to
this
you.
to the City Service Commission, and they report back to us, so that's the decision from there,
No, they'll consider it.
okay.
Motion made to refer to, say it again, Counsel?
City Service Commission,
Refer to City Service Commission.
yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
CI, not the E.
The ayes passed.
Spell check, I guess.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second, all for, opposed? We have adjourned. Thank you for coming, ladies.